we got a lot today, mostly Baldur's Gate. We're going to be talking a lot of Baldur's Gate. As a matter of fact, hell, let's just jump into Baldur's Gate. We're going to, I guess how we're going to do this is first we're going to kind of talk about the news surrounding Baldur's Gate and what it means and just kind of how it's going to affect the rest of the industry and everything like that. And then we'll kind of go into our thoughts on the game itself, because you've been playing it a lot. I just started last night, so I'm barely into it at all. But we both got I've been watching a whole shit ton. I've been watching a bunch of streamers and stuff before I got to play it, which we'll get into all that. So this thing's success has been fucking insane, right? Like, there's no other way to describe it. It's among the top 10 highest concurrent player accounts in Steam's history. Not top 10 right now, in the history of Steam.
It's also pretty crazy that this is happening for a PC only game that's only PC only at the moment, but like,
yes,
it doesn't usually happen for PC games like this.
And one that should be on paper, it feels like it should be a niche game. Like,
yeah,
Divinity Original Sin was successful, and Pillars of Eternity was successful, and Wasteland was successful, but they were not like blockbusters. They were not the talk of the industry. Like, this is almost Elden Ring levels. It's crazy. And actually, Elden Ring is kind of another game that, like, shouldn't have been you wouldn't have thought was going to be as big as it was. Like,
yeah,
it's hard to pinpoint exactly what makes a kind of hardcore gamers game blow up into beyond that. This is not just the gamers playing this. This is expanded way past that. It's it's gone viral.
Yep. People like my direct friend group who don't really, they play games but not nearly as much as I do.
Yeah.
They're like playing this game and talking about it. I'm like, this is like the biggest thing ever.
It absolutely feels that way. And Zelda felt similar, both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom and Elden Ring. And it makes me think that, like, hey, kind of giving the player agency, just giving them freedom, honestly, is the simplest way to do it. The simplest way to describe it. Like, they're not necessarily telling you a story, you're participating in the story in all those games. It's not, like, in Baldur's Gate, we're talking about more of a narrative, but even something like Zelda and Elden Ring, it's not, I'm not necessarily talking about the overall plot, but more just like a story of, hey, I just went east and found some weird shit. And Baldur's Gate, you can do that too, but also you can just have such an effect on the plot and the narrative. And the differences seem to be, like, in my playthrough versus your playthrough versus another guy's playthrough, all seem to be pretty goddamn crazy. It's like the promise of Mass Effect finally fulfilled in some ways.
It's a BioWare game.
Yeah.
It is. It's straight up a BioWare game.
Yeah, but I would say even taken to, furthermore, they're pushing it more.
The most extreme.
Absolutely.
Like, I saw people call this, like, the evolution of Dragon Age Inquisition, and I'm like, I kind of see it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have a ton of Dragon Age experience, but I play Mass Effect to death. Mass Effect's my favorite series of all time.
I love Mass Effect. I'm sitting in front of a giant N7 flag right now, and I'm like, this is a BioWare game through and through. Like,
I got I don't know where I can post it so everyone can see it, but I got a wall in my living room that's got this guy does these watercolors of all the Mass Effect characters, like in Japanese style. It looks really cool, and I got them all hanging up on my living room over my couch. Its Metacritic has topped Tears of the Kingdom for the highest of the year so far, 97.
Jeez.
I know.
Oh my god.
I know. It's crazy. So one thing I wanted to ask you about is, what kind of a role does early access play in this? Like, could this is that a big reason why this is soared where other similar games have not so much?
I don't know. I can't tell you, honestly.
Yeah.
Part of me thinks it's the... First of all, I think a lot of it is the D&D appeal. I think that does appeal to people. This is the most, like... This is the direct translation of tabletop RPG to a video game ever.
Yes. And D&D right now is more popular than it's ever been.
Yeah.
Stuff like Critical Role is a big factor in that.
That helps. The early access, I think it helped them, for sure. But the game I'm playing now is way different than the game I played in early access.
Yeah, but, like, don't they get to that point because of the feedback they got from early access? I think.
Yeah.
I would assume.
In theory, yeah. I mean, I was looking at a game today, Project Zomboid. That's been in early access since 2013. It's still in early access, and it's not out yet, technically. I don't know. I'm not a developer. I don't know what goes on.
Yeah, we're just guessing, but
yeah,
I think there's definitely some logical assumptions that could be made there.
If I had to guess, it absolutely helped.
Yeah,
straight up. Like I think.
Go ahead.
And like my person sitting in front of a computer playing this game like 4 hours a day, there's definitely some polish they put in this because it was in early access.
I would like to see more big publishers not be afraid to do it. Obviously we've seen, not that early access is a new concept, but we don't see it out of big games very often. AAA publishers and seem to be afraid to do it. Maybe not even afraid, but they just, I guess maybe don't think it's necessary. And sometimes it's not. I'm not saying every game should, but I think back to now both Sea of Thieves and No Man's Skies have recovered now, but hey, when those games launched, if they just tagged them as early access, how much different would their reputation have been? Because essentially they were. Like, those games were not fully finished, and they needed the community feedback to get to where they eventually got to, and now they're both big successes. But it probably would have been a lot cleaner for them, and they could have avoided a lot of early strife if they had tagged that. It worked out well for Grounded too, which is not a big team, but it was a big publisher. And
that game's really good too, and I imagine that early access definitely helped there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this goes on the Mount Rushmore of, along with Hades and maybe was Dead Cells early access?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I do remember a lot of people playing that, and I just have no interest. Yeah. But like it's one of those things where like,
you don't like Dead Cells?
I see. Okay, I play Metroidvanias if they're called Metroid or Castlevania. That's usually how it goes for me.
Oh man. Well, we're gonna talk about Dead Cells another time, I guess, because I need to try to get
nothing. I have nothing against Dead Cells. Okay. Let me be clear before anyone attacks me. It's just not. Metroidvanias are not usually my thing unless it's like a very specific, like flavor of Metroidvania.
But yeah, what I was driving is I think this goes in like the Hall of Fame of early access done right. This is like the model that people should be looking at.
For sure. Absolutely.
You had mentioned D&D. Does the rest of the industry now go to tabletop games? So are they looking at Shadowrun? Are they looking at like?
I kind of hope so.
Me too. I mean, and it's been done. Like, right, the Harebrained Schemes did that Shadowrun Returns trilogy, and they did BattleTech as well, but they were not AAA, right? And they're awesome games. I'm not trashing them. I need to actually. I've been thinking about playing those Shadowrun games recently, but they weren't like this. They weren't even close. But could that happen now? Of course, Shadowrun and BattleTech specifically, the gaming license, the video game licenses are owned by Microsoft. They license them out to Harebrained Schemes for those. There's also, Vampire the Masquerade is a tabletop game. There's plenty. Yeah. Gloomhaven is coming. Well, that is already out on PC, and it's coming to consoles like later this month. Is this something that happens now?
I kind of hope so, because we had Cyberpunk, and I like Cyberpunk. It had a rough launch, but I like that game, and I would love to see more tabletop RPGs,
Yeah. And I guess I'm asking specifically as doing them as CRPGs, because I don't know, maybe it's just me, but that feels like
it's the easiest way to do them.
Yeah, it's the easiest way, and it just feels more like, all right, when I play Cyberpunk, I don't feel like I'm playing a board game at all. When I play Baldur's Gate, I sort of am. Like, obviously it's not exactly the same thing, but it just, I don't know, maybe it's just all about the camera perspective, but it just kind of feels like moving pieces around a board to me.
I think there's something there. I think they definitely should try. Like, Games Workshop should maybe make a Warhammer CRPG. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
So, like, maybe there is something to this. I don't know. I'm hoping that we just see more tabletop rule sets in general, because I feel like they're such a good way to make video games, because it's a great rule set, and it's fairly like straightforward. I think people can kind of understand it very well.
And what I love about it is And you know, we've talked a million times about how my preference to co-op games, but you know, I do like I like RPGs that you can play with other people because I can't predict. You know, I can go into it saying, all right, this is the kind of character I want to make. This is the choice. I'm going to be a good guy in this run, and I can kind of plan everything out, but I can't predict what my friends are going to do, and that kind of always makes for the most interesting moments. Like,
Yeah.
we the whole RPG genre obviously came from tabletop, which, you know, you don't play those solo. So I think it works well that way. It's a pain in the ass for devs, I'm sure, because like, you know, it's just introduces so many variables. But that's what I enjoy about Baldur's Gate. I like that about Wasteland 3 a lot. Now, I have not been able to play Baldur's Gate in co-op, like, which is why I only started last night. To kind of make a long story short, I wanted to do my stream as a 4-player run through of Baldur's Gate, but all my friends are on Xbox. It's not out on Xbox yet, so I thought, okay, I'll just wait till it's out on Xbox. That's when I'll play it. And then buzz for this game got so crazy, I couldn't wait anymore. So now I'm playing it solo, and then when it comes to Xbox, I'll do a co-op run as well. Anyway, that's a side tangent, though. Let's talk about the sex, because
Sex, yeah.
I personally believe that one of the big reasons, there's more than one reason, but one of the big reasons this has reached outside of just the gaming sphere, the reason this has gone viral on Twitter and TikTok and stuff, is because of all the kinky sex stuff.
Yep.
You know, we laugh at it because it is funny. The bear thing is hilarious. And the bear thing is just the tip of the iceberg in this game.
The bear thing is the least horny thing that's in this game, for sure.
But I think that's a big reason why it's getting attention from casual audiences. Am I wrong?
I can see that. I mean, the whole Overwatch thing of Overwatch porn made Overwatch popular.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It could be a thing. I think the thing with the horny on the internet is you can't stop it. You can only hope to contain it. So
they're not even trying to contain it this time. They're letting that shit run wild.
I'm very concerned for the people in the offices of Larian.
Yeah. You know, you think about the there was a story back around MK11 where like some of the developers were like, "Oh, we have to watch a lot of graphic violence." Making our game, and it's kind of affecting us. In this case, like, probably had to watch a bunch of crazy sex stuff.
Yeah, someone probably had a sexual awakening making this game.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
It's the kink community's real big. You know, but that's another factor though, or another thing though, like, are other games, is this something that other games are gonna think, hey, we need to put weird sex stuff in all our games now?
I think they should. Let's just do this. I think we should go for it.
You know, it's handled well in Baldur's Gate, but it could be handled very badly too.
It could.
Like,
Randy Pitchford could get the very loud idea.
I was just gonna say, we know Borderlands 4 is in development. So.
Yeah.
Oh boy, that's concerning. And finally, this localization thing. We were talking about this briefly before the show. It's a strange thing, but apparently a lot of localizers were left out of the credits in this game. But apparently that wasn't Larian's doing, it sounds like. However, now that Larian has heard about it, they got kind of pissed on behalf of those localizers, and they're going to add them, you know, as soon as possible. It's weird to me that, like, I don't know, like, Larian's now mad about it, and my first thought would be, well, weren't you guys responsible in the first place? But apparently it sounds like, no, they weren't.
It sounds like they were handed an incomplete list of people. That's what sounds to me.
Yeah, that makes the most sense to me now. Kind of, it's a strange thing, but good on Larian for doing this. They really seem like they're doing everything right over there. And actually, as a matter of fact, there was another. I forgot to write this down, but there was another. And one of the CEO kind of did an interview saying, "Hey, we want to stay independent. We're not looking to get bought right now," which, you know, I think is the right move right now. This is their, like, fucking boom. This is where they are stepping up to being they've always been respected, but now they are a big deal.
Yep.
The time to sell, if at all, is probably like 10 years from now, I would imagine.
Yep.
Get a couple more games out like of this size. But I will say, if somebody somehow managed to grab them today, boy, that would be a boon for whoever that is.
Yeah, I hope it kind of doesn't happen.
Me too.
I'm a little fatigued by the acquisitions. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's time to slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
But
I'm not necessarily fatigued by acquisitions in general, but for Larian, like I said, I think 10 years from now is the time to do it. This is like them just on the rise.
Cash out, make $1 billion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Party on the yachts for the rest of your life. I'd do it.
And what I would like to see. All right, so and I was meant to say it earlier when we were talking about other tabletop games. I want to see. I'm not a big high fantasy guy, medieval fantasy guy. I'm loving this game, but that's, I would love it if it were in a more sci-fi setting or like a Vampire the Masquerade setting or something like that. And the big one that I keep coming back to is Shadowrun. I would love to see a Shadowrun game just like this. And I think, Larian, that's over at Xbox. Xbox doesn't need to buy Larian to make that happen. They can just do a partnership. Or Obsidian could do it as well. Of course, Obsidian's busy as hell right now.
Yeah.
Personally, I'd rather they do a Shadowrun game in this style than another Outer Worlds. And I like the Outer Worlds just fine, but not that much.
I'd like to see a Shadowrun game in the style of like an immersive sim. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that could work too. Man, if they could somehow wrestle the Nemesis system away, and you could do like a Shadow of War style game in Shadowrun, that'd be fun.
Shadowrun rules.
It's funny. I played that the shooter a little bit a couple weeks ago, and that's kind of all I've actually played of Shadowrun. But just the universe is such a cool idea to me, of it being a cyberpunk setting where all of a sudden magic appears again. That is so interesting to me.
Yeah.
So I should be playing more Shadowrun games. I guess what I'm getting at. All right. Well, let's kind of get into our. Well, we've both been playing it. So what are our experiences? What are our review or whatever? I've only played a little bit, just like 8 hours. I did. Okay. Well, no, I'm sorry, like 6 hours. I did a stream of it this morning. I'm going to play more as soon as we're done here. But that's kind of you've been way in more. First, tell me about your character. What class? What race? What are you doing?
I am a tiefling warlock.
Right okay.
Now. I was doing Dark Urge, but I learned that there's some stuff later on in the story that I don't want to do it right now, so I just kind of didn't do it. Yeah. I undid my character. But yeah, Warlock is great. Eldritch Blast for life. But yeah, this is... Okay. I think if this, my opinion, is going to ruffle some feathers.
Oh no.
For this game.
Oh no.
This is honestly one of the best CRPGs of all time. Like, I'm 30 hours in. I'm struggling to find complaints in this game.
Well, let me ask you, I guess, because I guess I'm trying to define what a CRPG is. So what would you say is the number 2? Or what was number 1 before this?
Baldur's Gate 2 was the
wow,
one,
all right.
in my opinion.
So are we not counting XCOM as a CRPG? Not really. Like that's.
Oh, that's a tactical RPG in my opinion. Or it's barely even a RPG.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's just right now, like everything is partially RPG. It's so nebulous and tough to define. Like
CRPG to me is top down with kind of light strategy elements.
Yeah.
And a lot of reading.
Yeah.
That's to me what a CRPG is.
Okay. So I guess what I'm getting at is I think I agree with you. I mean, I guess I probably don't have as much experience with you in the genre, but I think I agree this is the best one I've played. And I'm, like I said, not very far in, but go ahead.
I'm struggling to find things that I dislike about this game. Yeah. There's very few things. I guess the autosave system isn't as frequent as I would like.
I got fucked on that. Real bad. I don't know if you got to see me at all, but I was so pissed. I early on when you run across on the beach, when you run across that dying mind flayer, I fucking let him kill me, which was stupid.
Oh, yep. I did the same thing. In my early access too. I did the same. Yeah.
And then I got sent back to right when I crashed. I was so mad.
But man, this is an 11 on 10. Like I this broke the scale. It is so good. It's hard to define how good it is.
Well, I can just define it real quick right here to say it's insane that Tears of the Kingdom might not be the best game of the year. Like
this is bar none the best game I played all year.
Yeah,
straight up.
Tears of the Kingdom's a fucking masterpiece, and this is maybe better.
It's really fucking good.
I'm not ready to say that it's better, but it's close.
I'm ready to say it's better. It's better. It's way better, in my opinion. But that's just me.
Yeah.
But man, just there are things that you can do in this game that are Tears of the Kingdom light, I'll call them.
Yeah.
I was listening to Castle Super Beast, and Pat was detailing how he, like, in the first act, there's a mission where you have to go to the Goblin Fortress to rescue a druid, right?
Right.
So
I think I'm coming up to that. I might do that tonight.
So what Pat did was he went to the Goblin Fortress, acted like he was going to side with them, and like told them, "Okay, meet here." So he figures out the approximate location of where all of these people are going to be, and then goes and finds almost like, I guess, like 30 explosive barrels and stuff like that, as many explosives as he can find, and lays it out. And he was able to beat the entire army with one fireball by blowing them to hell.
I've seen some videos of people. You kind of have to take out if you don't pretend to side with the goblins. Like if you're just kind of you just have to take out like 3 leaders of them.
Yes.
I've seen some people treat that like a Hitman thing, where like they try to, instead of just like get into battle with those 3 leaders, they like will maneuver them to be on a bridge or whatever, and then knock down the bridge, and then like.
Yep.
It's like, hey, good work, 47. Yeah, man, it's the freedom of this game. It feels like, again, you know, Elden Ring, Zelda, it feels like games are just giving us so many options to really do what we want these, and not every game, but like the biggest ones, the ones that are finding the most success, it feels like, are just giving us so much freedom.
So to go for that, when I did the Goblin mission, I just took them all out. One of them, the priestess, can get killed in the cutscene, so that was super easy. But the big drow guy, what I did was I used Asterion. I used him as bait, and I lured him up to the pit above the spider pit, and then I Eldritch Blast him into the spider pit. And It's like, you can do so much crazy shit in that game. It is pretty great.
Nice. So my character, I wanted to do, and I'm going, like I said, I'm going to do another playthrough in co-op, and I really wanted to do a Dragonborn Bard, just because the idea of a big dragon dude playing a lute is funny to me. But I'm saving that for my co-op run. And in this run, I'm playing a dwarf monk.
Okay.
Because also, that's a funny idea to me too, is the little dude running around doing martial arts. And it's been real cool so far. I just like got to level 3 where I can unlock a subclass, and now I'm basically like fucking the Avatar, because I'm getting all the... I picked a subclass that lets me control elements.
It's so good. This game is fantastic, and if it does... And I say this as someone who's going to put like 300 hours into Starfield, more than likely. This is the game of the year, like straight up. I'm calling it now. It's over for everyone. It
definitely, if we're talking especially about the Keeleys, like 2 months ago, I would not have thought I got a nomination just because this year's so fucking loaded. Now it's 100% getting a nomination and has a very good chance of winning. I still think it's going to be a tough battle with Zelda. I really do, but
I'm sure it will be. I think that fanboyism will play a part. Some way, not for Keeley, but like for people in general. Like people will be like arguing for like Spider-Man or something else over this.
But a lot of because this game's not going to be on Xbox till next year. A lot of PlayStation people have been fanboying for it too.
That's true. So we don't know.
You know, one thing I've been really impressed with. This game has a lot of dialogue for sure.
Yep.
And I get what's the word? I just get fucking bored these days by that in most games, right? But in this, it has a ton of dialogue, but it's snappy. Like, it's not a bunch of people saying, hey, my village is in trouble. Let me tell you about the history of our village. 300 years ago, we were founded by gnomes, and then we had a civil war, and blah, 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 blah. It's just more like, hey, my village is in trouble, come save it, and then I'll fuck your brains out, and that's it. And let's get to it. Like, people, it's people getting to the point mostly and telling you what you need to know. And even though, yeah, there's a lot of talking, it's not flowery language. It's like,
and if you do want that stuff, it's in the game.
Sure,
You can find it or talk to them about it.
Yeah, I've been picking up a ton of books. I'm not reading them, but I'm picking them up and just like throwing them over to my camp inventory. So yeah, that stuff is there, but seems that the spoken dialogue is it has not been making my eyes roll back like it does in a lot of games. I'm very impressed by that.
It's so good. All of it. It's very well written. The story is crazy good. Shadowheart is the best. I love her so much.
I'm gonna try to romance her. I mean, I don't know. Is there any penalty in this game to romancing everybody? Probably not.
I'm not sure. I've been very careful though,
yeah,
not to upset her because she will murder me. I feel like.
God, I feel like there was some other big point that I wanted to hit, and I can't remember it. But it's an overwhelming game. It's something I'm probably going to be playing for a long time. So as you know, my PC's over there. So if I were going to stream it from there, I'd have to move my camera and microphone and everything. So, would be a pain in the ass. So I'm running it, streaming it from. I'm playing it on my PC, obviously, and that's going into my OBS. But then I got it run into my Steam Link so that I can play on my TV in front of me here, and then I first tried to run my Steam Link into my Elgato and my OBS, and then eventually I just bypassed that. But still got run on my Steam Link, and I had to use a wired controller because I was doing wireless, and there was a weird lag. I don't know if it's a Steam Link thing or whatever. My Steam Link's old as dirt right now, but so I got wires everywhere just for this game. Is kind of the point I'm getting to. It's stupid and weird, and but whatever. It's worth it. I'm
having a similar issue where I'm literally sitting next to a bunch of a new PC parts because I'm gonna build a new PC in the next couple months.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all I can think about when I'm playing this is this is gonna look so good on the new rig. Man, this is a great fucking game. I can't get over how well done this is.
It's very, very cool. Yeah. I like I said, I feel like there's I feel like we're just scratching the surface, even though we've talked about it now for, I don't have a timer in front of me, but probably a long time. And I'm sure we'll continue to talk about it because we talk about the games we're playing all the time, and I think we're both going to be playing this for a long time. Although Starfield's coming soon, so.
Yep.
But, yeah. It's driving me crazy now because, yeah, I feel like there is something I wanted to mention that I can't remember now. But anyway, I guess are we ready to move on?
I'm ready to move on.